Welcome back to the RGV Sports Show. We are here with your Week 6 preview. My name is Brian Ramos. I'm your 5A football beat writer here for the Monitor and RGV Sports.
My name is Andrew McCullough. I'm your District 36A beat writer.
And I'm Raul Garcia covering 31-6A.
And we're fired up to be here with you guys. Today we're going to break down the newest RGVSports.com top 10 poll and preview a bunch of really good games coming up here in Week 6. All the teams right in district play, so a lot of good competition going on. Teams fighting for playoff position, teams fighting for bragging rights, and so to start off, we're going to break down the newest top 10 poll coming to you, voted on by the voters from the Monitor, the Valley Morning Star, and the Brownsville Herald. And this week, after last week's number one goes down, McAllen Memorial falls, Edinburgh Bella climbs back into that top spot role.
Yeah, Edinburgh Bell's they fell. They started at number one. They went down, I think, as low as 3, and they clawed their way right back up to number one, somewhere they feel comfortable and that they know a lot of what it feels like to be at the top.
Absolutely, and they get 2 first-place votes, 74 points overall from our voters. And after going down last week, Andrew, in at number 2, the McAllen Memorial Mustangs.
Yeah, you got to feel like that loss is probably the highest quality loss of any team sitting at that 3-1 or 4-1 mark at this point in the season. They were essentially 1 pass or 3 seconds away from being undefeated and holding on to that top spot. You can kind of see from their first place vote tally too that a lot of people thought they shouldn't be punished that much for losing in the fashion they did. But on the flip side of that, you got to give credit to Mission too, rebounding big after what kind of seems now like an aberration of a loss to Sharyland Pioneer. Looks like they're right back on track.
Absolutely, and up to number 3 from number 5 last week, the Harlingen High Cardinals, after they pick up a big home win over Midland. And Sherry Pioneer, after a bye last week, they're still at number 4, the same as last week, but they do get a first-place vote from one of our voters. And jumping up all the way from number 10 to number 5 after that big win that you just talked about, the Eagles from Mission High.
Yeah, you got to think that a win like this, especially this early on in the district slate, kind of puts them in the driver's seat in terms of jockeying for playoff position and putting themselves in a position to compete for that district crown come the end of the season. This was a big win for them, especially considering it was at home. Would have been tough to see them go from 2-0 to 2-2 and 0-1 to start district with some more tough matchups ahead.
And to keep it there in your district in 36A, coming in at number 6, the 4-0 McAllen Row Warriors.
Yeah, this is an interesting team when you look at it because their record makes you think they should be a little bit higher on this list. But they just keep taking care of business. And, they've got one of the lower tier defenses in this district in terms of yards per game allowed, and they've got kind of a middle of the road offense. But, the Warriors just keep finding ways to win, and, that's kind of what ultimately matters at the end of the day. Those are the only numbers that really count for anything.
Absolutely. Now we got a tie at the number 7 spot between Mission Veterans and San Benito. Mission Veterans coming off a 49-0 shutout on the road of Brownsville Porters. So an impressive performance from that Blue Dogs defense from Mission Veterans. And San Benito, after taking a loss, who did they play this last week?
They got shellacked by Midland Lee on the road. Long road trip, but I think they gave up 63 points on the road. Kind of not really what you want to see heading into district play, but they'll have a bye to get things right before they kick off that 32-6A slate.
And yeah, Midland Lee, one of the best teams here in the 6A level. So San Benito falls to 2-3 on the year, and they drop from number 3 to tied for the 7th spot. And coming in at number 9, the 4-1 Westaco Panthers who receive 1 first-place vote.
Yeah, well, the Westaco Panthers, they're a very powerful team. They started high early in the season, early in the weeks. They fell after their first loss to Rowe, which, has gone undefeated. But Westaco has been putting up some big numbers, some big plays, and some big runs, and even a kick that's been heard around the world, kicked by Christian, their kicker with a slight disability who's not afraid to get in the game and go for 2, go for the extra point.
Mm-hmm.
But they're in a bye week this week. They're getting ready to prepare for Edinburgh Vela, which is going to be see who's going to be sitting in the driver's seat for that crown, District 31-5 6A.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. 2 weeks to prepare for a team like Edinburgh Vela. I'm sure Coach Stroman and the Panthers are making the best of that.
Yeah,
And
you got to feel like, too, the Panthers can make a strong argument for maybe having the best loss of any team so far. Close week 1 defeat at home against the Warriors, losing to the only undefeated team left on the 6A level, and reeling off 4 straight after that. Kind of got to like what's going on over there at Westlaco.
yeah, the Panthers are in a groove and rounding out the top 10, making their first appearance in the RGVSports.com top 10 poll. The 5-0 La Feria Lions, who received 21 votes, and guys, they just rolled through non-district play. Their only close game came against Mercedes in a close 35-31 win. But La Feria 5-0, they sneaked their way into the top 10, and unless somebody knocks them off there at that 4A level, I think they're gonna. It's safe to say they're gonna end up here in this top 10 and probably even jumping up a couple spots.
Yeah, they've been roaring for a place on the top 10 list, all season, and they finally get their chance, and I'm sure they're going to climb a little higher.
Yeah, La Feria is the one team who's not just winning, but is winning every week in dominant fashion. Really hard to slow down that very powerful offense. It'll be interesting to see what kind of numbers they put up as we get into the serious late stages of the season here.
Absolutely, and just to finish this up, the other teams who received votes from the 8 voters in the RGVSports.com top 10 poll: Brownsville Hanna, Rio Grande City, Mercedes, PSJ North, Hidalgo, and Brownsville Pace. So those teams knocking on the door, all doing some good things on the football field, trying to make their way into that top 10. So that wraps up the top 10 talk. So we're going to dive right into our Week 6 preview. And as always, we start with the Monitors game of the week. Andrew, we got a rivalry game here for Week 6 game of the week.
Yeah, this will be a real interesting one. A highly intriguing matchup against what on paper appear to be 2 super even teams. We're talking, of course, about the PSJ High Bears and the PSJ North Raiders. Last year we thought this was going to be an offensive shootout, and it kind of turned into a defensive slugfest instead. Bears came out on top 10-7, ended up winning that game and going on to win the district after the fact. But both of these teams have been on a real tear since they met last. Combined, they've won 2/3 of their games since they met this time a year ago. And, it's really one of the most intimidating defenses in the area versus maybe the most talented offensive unit in the area. We look at the Bears, they've got 3 of the top wide receivers in the area with Ethan Castillo, Marco Guajardo, and Miguel Flores. Flores had 4 touchdowns last week against La Jolla in a blowout win.
Big time.
He's leading the district in receiving yards, receptions, yards per reception. Really talented athlete, and senior quarterback Justin Morales has really stepped it up in recent weeks. Last week he tossed 4 touchdown passes, and for the first week this season didn't fire an interception. So if he can keep that going, you kind of got to like the Bears' chances of putting some points on the board. But on the flip side, you look at the Raiders, and they've got maybe the most talented defense from top to bottom in the whole valley. You look at linebackers Aaron Alvarez, who was a first-team All-State selection at the 6A level last year, doing more incredible things for that black shirt defense this year. Then you got junior linebacker Michael Lopez, who is just a scary number 2 option at that position. And of course, the Raiders are led by do-everything safety Seven Sanchez. He had 2 big takeaways last week. He had, that strip of quarterback Josh Briones at the goal line to save a touchdown. And then he picked off a Juarez Lincoln pass on what would have been a potential game-tying drive at the very end to seal it for them. He was able to break in North's new turnover throne on the sideline. So, I would fully expect him to be back in that spot again this week. But it'll be interesting to see kind of what prevails there, the unstoppable force of the Bears offense or the immovable object of the Raiders D.
That one's going to be fun to see. Just bragging rights on the line, of course, like you said, PSJ High, they're the defending district champs. They won the matchup last year, so PSJ North looking to even the score here in 2019. Now to move on to another big week 6 matchup that we have here. This one in District 16 5A Division 2. We have the Sharyland Pioneer Diamondbacks paying a visit to the Mercedes Tigers, and of course the Tigers coming off that big win over rival Ed Couch-Elsa last week, doing it on the road, a convincing 31-19 win where that Mercedes defense looked ready for that ground attack from Ed Couch-Elsa, and they were able to contain him, hold that offense to just one touchdown. But in come Eddie Lee Marburg and the Diamondbacks, who have a completely different type of offense. They're going to come at you through the air. They're going to be quick to the ball, and they're going to snap it, and they're going to air it out. And so this Mercedes defense, another tough challenge here in Week 6 for some of their players. And right now, as it stands, quarterback Eddie Lee Marburger leading 5A in the state of Texas, the leading passer. And then we have one person who will be out to stop him coming this Friday night. Mercedes linebacker Brandon Adame, who was named the Built Ford Tough Class 5A Player of the Week after a 21 tackle, 5 tackles for a loss, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery in that Week 6 performance and that win over Ed Couch-Elsa. So this matchup just going to be really fun to watch. Can Mercedes slow down that Pioneer offense? Can that Mercedes offense that we've seen led by quarterbacks Mike Cisneros and Horacio Pequeño, can they do some good things against this Pioneer defense, and can they light up the scoreboard and hang with them score for score? That'll be fun to see coming into this one Friday night. So I'm fired up for that matchup between the Diamondbacks and the Tigers. Both teams 1-0, or I'm sorry, Pioneer 0-0 in 16-5A after coming off their bye, and Mercedes 1-0. And as soon as that game was over against Ed Couch-Elsa, I talked to their guys immediately after, talked to Coach Adama immediately after, and their focus was right on the Pioneer Diamondbacks. And their focus has been on the Diamondbacks since media day. This is a team that everybody knows was going to be one of the strongest in Pioneer, and now that time is here. Time for Mercedes and Pioneer to lock horns Friday night in Mercedes at 7:30 p.m. So that's going to be a really good game coming to you Friday night. And Raul, to touch on your district in 31-6A, got a matchup between two kind of slept-on teams, teams searching to get in the win column here in Week 6.
Yeah, the Don North Chiefs will be coming into Richard Flores Stadium for a little dance on the gridiron against the Edinburgh North Cougars, and it's going to be a game, hard-fought game. Both teams coming off of a five-loss skid. They haven't found themselves in the winning column for some time now. The Donner Chiefs a little longer than most. And after talking to Coach Joe Michelar, he says they can't. They got their hands full with this Edinburgh North team. But if Edinburgh North does decide to, take it a little lightly on the Cougars, or the Donna North, he expects the Donna North team to, take their lunch, and hopefully, have a better week than they have in previous weeks.
Absolutely.
Those boys are playing with a lot of heart. They're still tuned into the game. They're a family of brothers, and they're looking for a win.
Absolutely, that one. Something's got to give. One of those teams going to walk away with a win Friday night, and who will it be, the Cougars or the Chiefs?
Yeah, well, the Chiefs don't look as strong on paper, but the Edinburgh North Cougars could have easily they almost beat Mercedes Tigers, who's been talking about beat some pretty good teams or stay close. Mm-hmm. They're in the top 10 for a week or two. But for some reason, things just also haven't been going right for the Cougars. So Coach David Gonzalez is definitely looking for something good to happen for his team too.
Absolutely. And Andrew, back to you for some 36A action. What other games do you have your eye on here coming up here in Week 6?
So Thursday night, I'll be in McAllen for a matchup between the McAllen Memorial Mustangs and the La Jolla High Coyotes. This one ought to be really interesting because it features two of the top running backs in all of South Texas going head-to-head against one another. We're talking, of course, about La Jolla's Eddie Villarreal and Memorial's Campbell Spates. When these two teams met a year ago, these two guys put up a lot of big numbers, and La Jolla escaped with the W. Surely Memorial is going to be wanting a little bit of revenge this year in their own building, and especially after the way they lost a week ago, losing their number one ranking on the road in, last-second fashion. Spates, though, he's primed for a very big game in this one. He's, I believe, 24 yards away from hitting the 1,000-yard mark. If he just hits his average yards per carry, it should only take him 2 or 3 to get there.
Nice.
Right now he's in the top 20 nationally in yards per game on the ground, 6th in the state, I believe, 14th overall in terms of yards in the state. So, this is a guy who it doesn't really seem like anyone has been able to slow down so far. You can only hope to, contain the damage he's going to inflict on you. So, this also has the potential with the amount that these two teams run the ball to be maybe the fastest game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Ought to be quick, but it ought to be exciting.
Absolutely going to be a good one there between La Jolla and McAllen Memorial. And so to pay our first visit to District 16 5A Division 1, that 10-team district, few teams on bye, but we got a big matchup here in Week 6 between the 4-1 Brownsville Pace Vikings, who are 4-0 in district play, against La Jolla Pombu, who comes into this one 3-2 overall, 3-1 in district play. So these two teams, they look like two of the strongest there in that 10-team district. And now Pace pays a visit to La Jolla. They'll play at La Jolla ISD Stadium. And Pombu, they won 3 straight, and they're looking to make it 4. And I don't know if you touched on Campbell Spates right just a second ago, one of the best rushers here in the Rio Grande Valley, and right up there alongside him is Palmview running back Carlos Peña, who is the leading rusher in 5A in the state of Texas with 972 yards and 7 touchdowns, and he's also the team's kicker. So you can see him after he runs in a touchdown, comes in for that extra point, he'll come in for that field goal for those big plays, and he's just racking up the points with those 7 touchdowns, and I believe he's up to close to 48 overall, or it might be 60 points, excuse me.
All those touchdowns and those extra points.
Yeah, he's just
racking up 7
field goals too.
7.
Yeah, he's just piling them up. So shout out to Carlos Peña, and of course, none of that would be possible without the Palmview Lobos offensive line, who of course make that possible and open those holes and clear that space for Peña to hit those holes, and just a really good start to the district play for the La Jolla Palmview Lobos, who I will be at that game. That game is Thursday night, 7 p.m. at La Jolla Stadium, and stay tuned for preview in tomorrow's paper. We're going to be talking to Carlos, and then we'll be at the game, bringing you live stats and of course a story following the game. And then Raul, a team coming off a big performance here in Week 5, the Westaco High Panthers, who did some really good things, and we actually got some highlights from them.
Yeah, we got some highlights from our friends at K-West and Westaco ISD. And we want to show you the power and the high-octane offense that Westaco Panthers bring, and economies and what they'll be taking to the field when they go against Edinburgh Vela this week on Friday. And the following week is when Westaco and Vela will collide. Let's take a look at those highlights.
District competition is underway in 31-6A, and the Westaco Panthers at Texas National Bank Field at Bobby Lackey Stadium hosting Edinburgh Economides. The Westaco Panthers start off passing the football. Jayden Cavazos with the catch here from Jacob Cavazos moves the ball close to the 30-yard line. Still passing here at Orlando Perrones. Big tight end with the catch and motoring down the field. Jacob Cavazos takes the opening drive, avoids a tackler right there. Looking to pass, stays in bounds, scores 7-0 first quarter. Westaco Panthers with the lead. Defense came to play in this one. That's Tank Adrian Fuentes with the big tackle right there. And the Panthers now on the move. Second quarter. Jacob Cavazos finding KJ Jones leaps high, 2 defenders fall down. It's worth another look as Cavazos sails it high And KJ Jones, with the perfect timing, able to make the catch, and that made it 14-0. Weslaco with the lead. Defense and Rodney Garza had a monster game. Watch it right here as Economides looking to pass to get back into this game. A little bit of pressure right here, throwing down the field, and Rodney Garza, he leaps up high, makes the catch for the interception, and Weslaco in business. Once again, the ball inside the 20-yard line. And there is Peyton Knopf. Going around defenders, in for the score, 21-0. Panthers leading at the half. We move now to the third quarter. And Weslaco, once again, Knopf. Can't stop him inside the 5-yard line, and it's a score for Weslaco, 28-0 in the third quarter, pitching the shutout at this point. Jaguars, and there's Rodney Garza once again, his second one of the game. And the Panthers in business. Cavazos rolling and looking, and he's going to find that's Mel Rodriguez. Comes out of nowhere, battles for the football right there against the defender, and Weslaco Panthers dominating this football game. More Panthers, and Garza, his third interception of the game. Rodney goes by a couple of defenders, finally brought down inside the 15-yard line. And that would lead to the running game. Sam Bain getting in on the action. Moves the ball to the 1-yard line. Then the Weslaco Panthers. And the passing attack of Cavazos to Jake Cavazos with a catch. He had some options down there. Keeps 2 feet in bounds. And the Weslaco Panthers roll tonight. It was the opening of district action, trying to go 1-0, and they do just that. The student section, the Panther Corps, Dreamettes, everybody loving it tonight. 41-7, Weslaco Panthers on top.
Yeah, well, you had to see it there. The Weslaco Panthers are for real, and it'll be interesting to see how well they compare when they beat the Edinburgh Vela Sabercats, another team that's also a high-power passing game and a good running game. But as right now, if you look at the numbers, Vela's clearly a higher passing margin with the Sotelo under center, but Kanab and the Panthers have a little more rushing attack. So it's going to be a very evenly matched team. I talked to Rodney Garza, who you saw pick 3 of Nathan Garcia's passes. He says it's going to boil down to who wants to win the most.
That one's going to be good, and that's just a little sneak preview of our Week 7 game of the week, which between the Edinburgh Vela Sabercats and Weslaco High Panthers, district title could be on the line there in 31-6A.
Yeah.
So thank you to Weslaco ISD for the video, and with that said, we're going to take a quick break with a word from our sponsor, the J. Gonzalez Law Firm, and we'll be right back with some more football talk after. And here's a word from our sponsor.
Jay Gonzalez, a lawyer with thousands of cases won and millions rewarded in settlements. Over 15 years of experience and recipient of numerous awards. If you've been in an accident, there's only one name to remember: Jay Gonzalez.
Thank you to our sponsor, the J. Gonzalez Law Firm. And so, to round out some of this Week 6 football talk here in the Rio Grande Valley, we're going to go to District 16 5A D2. A couple big matchups coming up this week. We got the 1-0 Roma Gladiators against the 1-0 Sherryland High Rattlers. And let's just start with Roma's Hiram Flores, he's nominated for Mr. Texas Football of the Week by Dave Campbell, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, after he had 12 tackles, 3 interceptions, 5 catches, 74 yards, and the game-winning touchdown. And then after catching the game-winning touchdown, which put them up 21-17 over Valley View, he came down with his 3rd interception of the game, which brought an end to that one. So shout out to Hiram Flores. And if you'd like to vote for him, you can go to visit texasfootball.com. You can scroll down a little bit, and the voting panel is there on the right side of the homepage, where you can select and vote for Hiram Flores from Roma. So Roma going into Sherryland High, both teams 1-0, looking to move to 2-0 in district play. But Sherryland High last year picked up a big 35-0 win over Roma. So Roma will have something to prove coming into this Week 2 matchup after they pick up their first win of the season last week against Valley View. And then stick with the Valley View Tigers. They're 0-1 in district play. They'll be facing another team that's 0-1 in district play in the Ed Couch Elsa Yellow Jackets. The Yellow Jackets dropped that rivalry game. Valley View, they're disappointed after dropping that game to Roma. So they're both looking to get back on the right track, get in that win column in district play, and make some noise there because Valley View was in the playoffs last year. They feel that they're good enough to be right back in there this year. Ed Couch Elsa, they obviously finished 2-8 last year, missed the playoffs, but the Ed Couch Elsa team is much improved and looking to get back into that postseason. So no team wants to go 0-2 in district play, and one of these teams will. So who will prevail in this District 16 5A D2 matchup? That's Ed Couch Elsa paying a visit to the Valley View Tigers Friday night at 7:30 at Valley View Stadium. So two big matchups coming up there in District 16 5A Division 2. And guys, with that said, that wraps up some of this football talk. Anything else you guys would like to add?
Should be an exciting week of football ahead, and very excited to see how this fierce rivalry of a game of the week pans out for us this time. If it's anything like last week, then we're in for a real treat.
Yep, absolutely.
That's right.
So, with that said, thank you for joining us. This has been the RGVSports.com show, and we will be back with you on Saturday to break down everything that was Week 6, the winners, the losers, some of the big performers, and some of the standouts that we saw here in Week 6. And we'll also be talking some volleyball. So we'll catch up with you again Saturday. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again.